Hi, welcome in everyone. This is Julie Maxon, the Main Stamper. I am here for my Make It Monday, where I copy and selectively edit a beautiful image from one of the Stampin' Up! Catalogs and show you how you can use what you have at home to recreate something similar. And I always say that the catalogs are the best sources of recipes. You can go through, flip through any image and any of the beautiful pages, find something you like, and then use your own stamps, your own papers, whatever colors you like. You know how I love to switch up colors. So we are working tonight with the Best Butterfly. And this is called the Best Butterfly Bundle. Best Butterfly Bundle. Earlier I teased, do you want to build a, and of course we all go to Frozen, right? Do you want to build a snowman? But this is, do you want to build a butterfly? So this card features the new butterfly dies and stamps, and this is my version that I could come as close as possible to what's in the catalog. Now I did it again. I picked out a card to create and I don't have all the products, and I don't know why. I assume I always have everything that the catalog image shows, because clearly I do not. But I'm going to talk to you about my workarounds and show you how I came up with something so similar that you almost wouldn't be able to tell that it's not the exact same image from the catalog. So we are working with butterflies today. Make sure you're saying hi as you pop on. I love to see who is with me in the craft room tonight. Hi Jess, I'm so glad that you made it. That's so awesome. All right, let's flip over to my workspace. We're going to talk about the products and how I created this fantastic card. Okay, so we are in the annual catalog. This is new product. Now, if you've been waiting for a while for me to have new product, here it is. So we are on page 36 and 37. So you can see all these great, beautiful colors. I love these colors. Now, this is the card that I made, and I'm going to show you how to make tonight. And this is the card in the catalog. So I'm going to kind of set them side by side here. So this is the card right here. Smaller version, obviously, of the image, and you might be looking at it and maybe you can tell right away that something is different, like very similar but different. And if you're looking through, the missing ingredient for my card is this gorgeous designer series paper. This is the Butterfly Kisses 6x6 paper, and it goes beautifully with all these images, and I did not have the paper. Now I have the stamp set and I have the dies, and the paper not so much. So what I did was I flipped to the back of my catalog where all the designer series paper is, and here's the Butterfly Kisses paper, and it tells me some of the gorgeous colors that are in it. And then I kind of flipped through a little bit just to see what do I have, because I do have quite a few of them, and I discovered that the Tea Boutique paper has some similar colors in it that work perfectly so that I could use these papers and create my card. So there's going to be more on that as we get going on this stamp set and card. So let me set that aside and we'll bring in the card again so you can take a look at it, and we'll talk about this awesome bundle. Now this is the Best Butterflies stamp set. It is photopolymer, and you can see there's lots of different sizes of butterfly wings. Some are rounded, some have little curves in them, and there's 2 different body sizes, so your butterflies can be bigger or smaller. And we've got all kinds of sentiments and some just different little background patterns, which is awesome. So that is our stamp set. We're not doing a ton of stamping. We're actually doing a lot of die cutting with this one. This one is the Build a Butterfly dies. So build a butterfly. We are building a butterfly, and that is just so cool. So you've got a couple of dies here that are going to be outlines. Then you've got the inner wing section, and you actually have dies like these that are going to cut out a whole image, so you can see that they're going to layer together. So we've got these 2 here, these 2 here are 2 separate dies, and these are separate, these are separate. I've grabbed out the outsides of these 2 dies because these are the ones that I'm actually going to be using today, but I just wanted to show you. And then there's 2 different size body outlines. I'm going to be using the bigger one. So I am also improvising in some circles today. I'm using layering circles. In the image they actually used a die from the new bundle All That, which is in the masculine dies, and I didn't have all that, so I tried to use beautiful shapes Beautiful Shapes didn't work out. So I went to layering circles because with the circle dies, you have so many different size options. So I found one that worked really well. So I'm going to be using the layering circles here, and it did look really nice on my card. And here it is again. So you can kind of see I use the scallop circle here. So you can just see it in the background. And I did play with different sizes. I tried a smaller one and it was too small. I tried the next one and it was just right. My very first one, this is my faux pas, but this is from the Beautiful Shapes, and it's actually a lot bigger. And I wasn't happy with how the butterfly looked on that, but we're going to talk about this guy in a little bit. But so as you may not know, behind the scenes, when I recreate these cards, I'm doing a lot of different things that work and don't work, and then I'm reworking. So I don't always get the correct thing right out the gate. Sometimes it takes me a little bit of trial and error to get this figured out. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to talk to you about the choices in designer series paper, and I closed my book up. So let's come back to this real quick and talk about the designer series paper. So as I mentioned, I went with the Tea Boutique paper, and these are the 4 patterns that I ended up using. So we've got a green stripey, a flower pattern, a purple, and a yellow. On the back side, we've got lemons, we've got envelopes. So these ones were in with the Tea Boutique, so the totally different papers. But they worked really well. If you see them kind of next to these cards over here, the color family works just really well, which I was super happy about. And then basically I took this card right here and I picked apart, I was looking for a green paper. So it came up with the stripies for this green paper right here, which worked out really well. Then I was looking for a flowery paper. So the next layer down here is flowers. And again, this one worked really well, but we're going to doctor it up. And then I needed a purple and kind of a yellow for the butterfly. So I picked out purple and I picked out yellow, and that is how I came up with my version of this card, which is a little bit different from the original. So this is just great for you to know at home. If you don't have all the products, check out what you do have, because you can always make something work. And that's like really exciting. Now this card is pretty simple. We're starting out with a Calypso Coral card base, and this is going to be in the landscape position. So this card's going to open this way, but we cut it just the same as if it was in a portrait position. So just keep that in mind. We're going to be doing everything this way. If you want to do this at home, this is awesome. I did cut out my designer series paper. So the green paper I cut at 2 3/4 by 5, and that's going to be going down right like that. And then we've got all of these other things. We're going to start with some die cutting now, I think. We're going to start with our die cutting, work our way into this card. Like I said, there's quite a bit of die cutting. So let me bring in my big boss and let me tell you a story about my mini boss. So if you've been watching me, you may have remembered back in, I think March, they had, Stampin' Up! Had a special on the mini boss machine. And I thought, wow, it's going to be great. I would get it. It would fit here so much nicer, right? It wouldn't be so big and huge and clunky. And I ordered a mini boss machine because it was on sale. And then with my demo discount, I got a smoking deal on it. And I got my mini boss in, and the mini boss didn't work. It did not work. So I looked up all the ways to like try to make it work, because apparently there's a lot of tricks to it, to making it work. And I tried the tricks and it still didn't work. So I called support. And I, told them that my mini boss wasn't working, and they said, okay, well, if the rollers aren't working, which apparently they weren't, we're going to send you a new one, and you send it back. So I sent my boss back, and I got a new boss, a new mini. And when I got the new mini, I'm having the same problems all over again. And I was just at the point of really frustrated. I was just so frustrated with this machine, because my big embosser works great. The mini embosser, I just felt didn't work great, and I just wasn't happy with it. So I actually did return it, and back it went. So I don't have a mini embossing machine. I've just got my big boss, but it works out really well. And so if you have a mini and it's working for you, that's awesome. If you're on the fence about the mini, I'd say it's not I didn't have a good experience with it. That's what I would say. I did not have a good experience with it, and I can't recommend it. So I'm always really honest with the products that I use. I would never tell you to get something that I didn't think was a very good product. So that is just my little tale on the mini boss. Now, while I've been chatting and telling you my story, I've been die cutting my circle, my big butterfly bug body. These are going to be the top wings, and I've got these really cute little, this is Calypso Coral, so we're doing color on color here for tone on tone, right? They're probably really hard to see, but they go on this card in the catalog. You can see it too. So it's one die, and it cut out all of these 6 little different images. So we just had this one long die. You get all these little guys popped out of there. So we have just left the yellow wings for a butterfly. Now this is where it kind of hit my first block too, if you will. When I was putting together my butterfly. So I die cut this out, and because the image in the catalog showed purple for the top, and then it showed yellow for the bottom, but the yellow had a lot of white in it. And my paper does not have white in it. So when I put this together and then I put the yellow body on it, I thought, you know what? There's a lot of yellow here. It's just too dark. You can see there's a little bit of white in the purple, but there's nothing at all in the yellow. So I came up with a workaround, and here it is. I think you would agree, hopefully, that on this butterfly, it just looks a lot better with all that white in it. So what we're gonna do to create the white is a little bit of stamping and embossing. So we're gonna heat emboss with white powder to get that white on there. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my little embossing buddy, and I'm going to just throw a little powder down on that. That takes care of some of the static issues. So the powder only sticks where the Versamark is going to go. I'm just going to set up my white embossing powder, grab out my Versamark ink, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up my wing stamp. So this is one of the butterfly wing stamps. So in this stamp case, there were all kinds of them. Let's see if I can dig it back out again. So you can see that there's all kinds of different patterns that you can use for the wings, and we're actually using this one right here. So we've got that one, and I'm going to go ahead and just wet this down one more time just in case. All right, so I'm just stamping this Versamark ink right on top of my paper, and that is absolutely nothing that you can see whatsoever right now because it's kind of just wet ink on this paper. But once I put the powder on it, hopefully you can see that there is some white there, and I'm going to bring in my heat embosser, and we're going to emboss this. And I have a cute little thing here that has a clothespin on it. This is very helpful for the hot fingers from the heat embossing. And I'm just going to make this beautifully shiny. It's just starting right now. So right now I've got some bright white starting, so you can see where it's really bright and where it's still dull. Just go along here with the heat for a second, and we should be good. Let me turn that back off. So there we go. So we've got our bottom wings now, so that's all heat embossed, and I've got to bring in my machine, put all these things aside one more time, and run this through. So I'm going to go ahead and line up the wing die here over top of the image that I just stamped and heat embossed. And off she goes. And there we have it. So the difference between this one and this one, like it's a really big difference. On our little butterfly. So I wanted to show you that too. Kind of a trial and error for me as I go. All right, so now we're going to bring in a little scrap of white. This is just a 3/4 inch scrap. And I think it's about 4.5 inches. It really doesn't matter because we're going to actually be notching the ends around the sentiment. So I've got Sending Good Vibes. This butterfly set is kind of it's groovy, right? It's kind of one of those like 60s vibe kind of sets, because clearly these butterflies are not your normal butterflies. So I've got that done really nicely. The hard part about a sentiment that has D's and G's, or even a B, right? So you're focusing on making sure that all of these top letters get in, but also all of the bottom letters get in. So that can be a little bit tricky. I always would cut a little bit bigger of a paper just so you can make sure you get all of that in there. I'm just going to bring in my paper snips and go at an angle this way. So I've got that nice angle, and now I want to go at an angle this way. So I'm keeping the same angle, kind of going close to sending. And there we go. So I've got my sending good vibes sentiment. And that was in Calypso Coral ink. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to doctor up this pretty paper. Now this paper is really pretty, but it didn't have the purple in it like the image in the catalog. Image in the catalog had a lot of pretty colors, but it also had purple. So I'm bringing in Fresh Freesia, and I'm bringing in the Spotty Dotty stamp from, again, same stamp set. So here they are right here, these little spotty dots. And we are actually going to add purple to our designer series paper. So I'm just going to focus on wherever there's white, there will now be purple dots. So I'm going to just put these in here, kind of in a random pattern order. I'm not too concerned if I'm hitting over top of any of the flowers, but I am trying to really focus on just those white spots that are in here. A couple more here, and we should be good. There we go. So we went from kind of boring to like, look at all the purple in there. Isn't that awesome? So if you have designer series paper that has a little room for extra color and you want to get creative, you can doctor up your paper and make it even more fabulous. And I love that idea. All right, so we are basically down to assembly now. There's not a lot of stamping on this card, but we did a little bit today. This is die cut heavy card. So we're going to go ahead and put this green designer paper kind of toward the bottom. And the catalog paper, the Butterfly Kisses paper, had a lot more going on with the green, and I did a little experiment as well. And this is with the little triangles. So there's like a little triangle stamp here in this case. And I played with some paper for a minute just to see if I liked it extra busy. But once I put the this paper over top, I didn't care for it. So I decided to just leave the green stripies as they are and just make this paper a little bit extra busy. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and layer this one on. This paper right here is 5.5 by 1 3/4, in case you're trying to do this at home and you want to know what the dimensions are. And they don't give us the dimensions. In the back office, we can take a look to see what products were used, but they don't actually tell us, cut your paper to this or that. So I'm over here with my little ruler every day, trying to figure it out, going, I think it might be, and I try to get as close as I can. The measurements may be off, but it's exactly what I came up with, so I think it's pretty close. Now I've got some of this gorgeous Fresh Freesia ribbon. We're going to put a little bit of ribbon on here. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but it is tucking out underneath our sentiment here. And I'm just going to cut a section that's going to kind of come across here. And when I attach ribbon, especially sheer ribbon like this, first of all, I like my silicone mat. I think you saw me use it last week, and I was using the shimmer embossing paste. So if there's still glitter on here, it's because I didn't actually clean it like I said I was going to. I meant to take it to the bathroom and rinse it off really good and then dry it, but I kind of just swiped it on my shirt and my pants earlier and called it good enough. So that's sometimes how things go in my craft room. So it's got a little bit of glitter on it still, but it's okay. I like to use this when I'm using the tape, and I prefer to just use a really generic tape runner. I don't use tape runner a lot. You always see me using the Tombow liquid glue, but I do like this very much more so than even the Stampin' Up! Tape runner, which I think is difficult to work with. So again, that's just kind of like my opinion on what I like and don't like. And whatever tape works for you, you go with it. And last week I was also using these weird dimensionals, which I think came from a paper pumpkin kit, and they're coming off here in odd pieces. They're just kind of coming off, and then I have 2 sets of adhesive that I have to work with, which is a little bit annoying to me. I'll be glad when this dimensional package is used up and I can move back onto my really nice good Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. But I am putting dimensionals on the back of the butterfly wings, so I'm going to do one big one on each section of the wings, And oh, there's one that came off of there. So these are fun. Okay, so this is a rare thing for me to do, is use a lot of dimension on one card, but I'm going to do it. So I'm going to put these on here. So again, I feel like the scope of this circle that I picked out is much better than this one. Let me bring in my one that I just did not like at all. So you can kind of see like that one just didn't turn out very attractively, I don't think. So I've got, and I didn't use dimensionals on this. I put this on flat and I really didn't like it flat. But you can see right now with the purple here that it fits this circle much better. So the scope is kind of important, especially if you're designing at home and you're kind of thinking, why doesn't this look good? This fits so much nicer on here, I think you would agree, rather than this one. This one just looks a little bit lost on this big circle. So now we're going to add this one on. And the trick that I discovered when I put these butterflies together is you don't want to really have them meet because they look a little wonky. You want them to kind of butt up a little bit so that one overlaps the other, even if it's just slightly. So you can kind of see the difference here between one where I've got them kind of overlapping and touching, and then I've got them like just meeting, and they just look so out of shape here. They look a little out of sorts. Now maybe you like this look, I'm not sure. I like it to look a little bit more normal. Let's call it normal. Let's go with like, it just looks a little bit more like a butterfly shape. Now because this piece right here is so much longer than my actual butterfly, I only need adhesive here in the middle. And so I'm just going to put a little bit here on the purple and the yellow right here in the middle, and then I'm just going to put this guy down, and he's going to take a second to dry because he doesn't have as much to attach to. He's going to glue much better to the purple paper because it's not embossed. I'm going to give him a little push here too. I had to push my other guy. So I'm kind of squishing him down in the middle a little bit, but he's bouncing back nicely. So here's the butterfly, and I think that's just super, super cute. Okay, and then we're also going to use dimensionals on the Good Vibes sentiment here. So let me get a couple more of these lovely dimensionals out and play with these for a second. So we got two of those going on here. I'm just going to set this on my card. I'm not going to actually put this down. Let's get rid of this yucky butterfly. I don't like that one. I don't know what's going to happen to him, but sometimes I throw things into a bin and maybe someday I rework them. Maybe someday I don't. All right, so I am actually, this is rare. I have dimensionals on the back of this white piece. I have dimensionals on the butterfly. So we've got a lot of lift going on in this card. So we've got extra. This will be an extra wide, extra thick envelope. All right, oh, you know what we forgot? We totally forgot all these little orange guys got to go on first. I want to put them on before I put on my butterfly circle because they kind of go up and under and around here. So let's start those real quick. Now these are tone on tone, so they may be really hard to see. I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of glue down, and we're going to do two of them over this way. Oh, there is a pretty side and a not so pretty side when you die cut these. So if you're putting them on, just make sure you're taking a look at them to see which side looks a little bit nicer, because there are two sides to these. And some of these have three little petals, if you will, and some of them have two. So there is a variety here. So it's kind of neat too. So I'm kind of trying to mix them up a little bit as I put them on here. I'm going to put one here and one here. Whoops, there we go. Things are sticking here. One there, and then I'm going to put one over here, one more on here. So that is all 6 of them on the card. So it kind of just comes up and around. It's just a nice little sweeping pattern here. And now we have this guy right here. We're going to tuck him in over here on this card. And he's just leaving a little bit of this green peeking out over here, which is kind of nice. And he kind of is framed by all those little orange calypso coral type flowers. Take this over here, and I'm going to put this just right here and just above the purple ribbon. And I'm just making sure that my vibes, all of the words are showing. I don't think it's gonna pop off the end here. I think I just made it So this is something you have to be careful of too, is just to be able to make sure that this piece is over far enough to get your sending good vibes in. So there we go, sending good vibes. So I just duplicated that card really quickly, and I think it turned out pretty well also. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. How'd we do for time? We did pretty good for time. This one was really actually a pretty easy card. And I think it turned out really awesomely. Now, this was just my very first play with these awesome butterflies, these build-a-butterflies. So there are so many different ways I feel that you can build the butterflies to create different looks, whether you're stamping them or die cutting them. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys like this card tonight, this little sweet card. Now, of course, you know, on Wednesday, I will be doing a color swap. We're going to color swap some papers out. And obviously, I still don't have the Butterfly Kisses paper. So I may get creative with another paper pack, or I might just use some different colors in my Tea Boutique paper pack. I haven't really decided where I'm going to go with that yet. So that is my card for today. Real quickly, if you just have a couple minutes to listen, the June retiring list came out for the January to June mini catalog. So I put that out in an email. I think last week was information on that sale. You can go to the online store though if you want to see what's on sale, and some of the clearance items are 50% off. They are first come, first serve. That sale ends on June 30th, and everything that is not staying in the new catalog will be retiring. And in the annual catalog, all of the prices may be increasing for products that are leaving the spring catalog but staying in the annual catalog. And I know that could be really confusing. So if you have questions, please feel free to comment or private message me or email me, text me, you know, let me know what your questions are. I would be glad to answer them. And I'm just making a really quick announcement too. Next week, I am hosting a June mystery host party. So every June I do a mystery host party where we spend, you know, 3, 4, 5 days having tons of fun on Facebook. I do a lot of demonstrations. We play some games. There's prizes. And anyone that orders a minimum of $30 using the host code for my party is put into a drawing for the mystery host rewards, which over the last 2 years have been at least $100 in free product and half price items. So definitely worth thinking about if you're interested in checking out my mystery host party. Just drop a comment here, mystery host party. I will be gathering your information and sending you a link to the party. Probably won't send the link out until like Sunday, Monday next week, because it's not being held until next week, and I'm still putting everything together. But I want to say that I'm adding extra prizes in this year because I want everyone to have some really awesome things. And so you may want to, even if you don't plan to order, jump into the party and have fun, because it's going to be an awesome time. I'll be talking a lot more about my June mystery host in the coming week, so be sure to check that out too. And I think that is everything that I wanted to say tonight. So I hope you enjoyed my card. Make sure you check me on Positive Paper Crafters on Wednesday for a color swap so you can vote for your favorite color. And until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, and share the love. Bye, everybody.